Okay. Now I'm going to assume that you can't hear me because my mic is playing up. Let me know if you can hear me in the chat, please, because I think I've got a bit of an issue with my mic. Hello. This is a test. Can you hear me? Great. Okay. So let's start talking then, shall we? Hello to everyone. I'm glad you can hear me. And this is our second stream together. It's a beautiful moment in history between such wonderful people. And I'm so glad that you can all join us on this wonderful, momentous occasion. Jay, thank you very much for telling everyone to hit the like button when they come on in. Thank you very much. So what we're going to talk about today, we're going to talk about A24, but we're not going to talk about it just yet because we've just come into the chat. So what we're going to do is, first and foremost, we are going to have a little bit of fun and we're going to say what our favorite A24 film is. That's what we're going to do first and foremost, everyone. So in the chat, if you could put in the name of your favorite A24 film, that would be fantastic. And I think already we had Galaxy Moon. Is that light? Galaxy Moon Light. Maybe you can tell me how I can say that in the chat. But you've put Everything Everywhere All at Once, which is a good film. It's definitely a good film. We'll come back to that. I think it's quite a pivotal film in the history of A24 as well. So we'll come back to that. And then Vitophone, Vision Sound, which we've had many a chat about my videos before. Killing of a Sacred Deer and Under the Skin and Good Time. And there are many more. You have to pick one though. You can't just pick all of them. You have to pick one. So Vitophone, I'm gonna call you Vita from now on. Vita, could you tell me the one choice you have? What's it gonna be? Okay, Jay, A Ghost Story. And okay, so here's the thing about The Ghost Story is that I didn't actually watch it. I saw the trailer and I thought, what is this? This does not look entertaining. And I didn't bother even, I've not watched it. I'm not gonna watch it. I'm not gonna lie. So if anyone's seen it in the chat, let me know. I apologize for the really bad lighting. It's not me. It's definitely me. It's not you. It's definitely me. But unfortunately, my camera, you may have heard if you saw my last chat, was stolen from my car last week. So I'm kind of using the crappy Mac camera, and it's not good. But enough about me. The Killing of a Maria. So glad to finally meet you, all the way from Argentina, I believe. Jay, is that a super chat? Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. Maria, Killing of a Sacred Deer is one of those films which I saw at the cinema, and I left the cinema thinking, what have I just watched? And I've not watched it again since. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's definitely a thing. I don't really know why I didn't resonate with me in a way that I thought it would, because I'd seen The Lobster, and then I think prior to seeing the Killing of a Sacred Deer, I think I saw his other film, which is called something else. It's the one when the family are kind of encaved and within the kind of the house in Greece, because the dad said you can't go outside because you get killed or whatever, which is a really interesting film. And then Killing of a Sacred Deer was Lanthimos turned up to 20. It was really stilted dialogue, great performance from Colin Farrell and Nicole Kidman, and the wonderful actor who you're going to tell me the name in the chat because I can't remember his name. Is it Barry? Yes, it is Barry. I think it's Barry. But yeah, wonderful film. I do like that film. What other films? Dream Scenario. Not seen that. Not seen that. Nicolas Cage is bald in that film. I know that. My friend told me to go and watch that film. He said it's really interesting. And whenever anyone says the film's interesting, it doesn't mean it's good. And that same friend dragged me to go and see Only God Forgives and Spring Breakers consecutively. So I do not trust him at all. He's not in the chat, thankfully, so I can say what I want. Who else has got any other films here? Hello, Rear Gaming. How you doing? You've come into the chat, Rear Gaming, so you have to type in the name of your favorite A24 film. That's the first thing you need to do. So do that now. You love The Graduate. You know what? I love The Graduate too, and it's better than any of the films anyone's mentioned on this list so far. I have to say that. So I want people to put more films in here, but what I'm going to say is we're going to start off by talking about the best A24 film. That's what we're going to do. We're going to conclusively now here talk about the best A24 film. And then we're going to talk about why A24 is so popular. And then we're going to kind of compare them to other Hollywood studios who are way bigger and have been in the game since day one. Because it's a hell of an achievement for A24 to have come from almost nowhere. And they're probably everyone's favorite studio. They're not the biggest, but everyone's favorite. And that is a hell of an achievement. So we'll talk about that very shortly. But I think first and foremost, we're going to conclusively, as a group, come to an absolute consensus about what the best A24 film is. And there's so many. So put them in the chat and we will discuss them. Okay, so Jay, A24, let me put that on the screen. A24 owns Pi now, and I like some Aronos. Do they? They bought out Pi. Have they bought his whole catalog? Is that what's happened? Interesting. Right, I'm going to go back up to some of these other comments. Gamer Vet, so glad that you could join us. You're a very funny man. So glad you could join us. Andrew Lee, favorite A24 film is, I'm going to put this on the Tragedy of Macbeth. Now, I asked you this the other day. Joel Cohen said, yeah, you qualified what it is. It's Joel Cohen's Tragedy of Macbeth, which is a brilliant film. If you guys have not seen it, if you don't like Shakespeare, I don't blame you. I do like Shakespeare, and I love that film. It's definitely up there. It's definitely up there. We have Moonlight. Moonlight's a good film. Moonlight is a good film. It's a good film. That's all I'm going to say. It's a good film. It's not a great film, but it's a good film. Ex Machina. Ex Machina. The wonderful film by a director whose work I do not like. It's a good film. That is a good film. I can't sit here and tell you it's not a good film. It is a good film. It's not my favorite A24 film, but it's definitely a good film. The Lighthouse. Yes, The Lighthouse. Strange little film. Very interesting film. Very good film, actually. I watched The Lighthouse when it first came out, and then I watched the director's subsequent work, which was, someone can help me out in the chat. Well, I can't remember what it's called, but it's a Viking film. And I was thoroughly disappointed, to say the least. Thoroughly disappointed. Jay, love that. Love that. Thank you, Jay. Right, so this is what I really want to talk about, because I think this kind of epitomizes what A24 are all about. Under the Silver Lake. This film is maybe one of the most A24 films to exist, apart from Ghost Story. It's Andrew Garfield, and I think he's a detective or something. I've not seen it myself, but it flopped hugely. Many people love it. Many people have not seen it. I don't really know anyone that's seen it. So Moron, I see Iconic. You're the first person that I know that has seen that film. So yeah, I've not seen it, so I can't comment on it, but it's a very A24 film. The Iron Claw. So I kind of reviewed the Iron Claw on my channel. It was part of another video that I had. And so dark, isn't it? Jeez. And I didn't like it. I didn't like the Iron Claw. I didn't like it at all. I felt it was very melodramatic. It didn't sit well with me. It kind of was misery on misery on misery on misery on misery on misery. And by the time you got to the end, the shock value, just everything wasn't working. So I'm not a huge fan. The Witch. The Witch. Ghost Story, Witch, Midsummer. Thank you very, very much, Jay. Okay, The Witch. I've not seen The Witch, and The Northman is the film that I was talking about, the Viking film. Yeah, The Northman I didn't like. I've not seen The Witch. I know it's the same director. I've not seen that. So I've only actually seen seen two of his films and only liked one of them. But he's a very, very, very A24 type director. So let's conclusively. I'm going to share a screen with you guys now. And this list here is one of the best lists of the best A24 films ever made. So we're going to go into that right now. And apology if this chat is either lagging or if it's too dark or whatever. It's my second ever stream. I'm still getting to I'm trying to grasp what this is, what I'm doing here. So just bear with me. All these things are very new to me. Okay, so let's go through this A24 list. Right, so I'm hoping you guys can see that. I'm going to quickly jump back onto here. Yep, you can see that. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Right, so this is Rotten Tomatoes' very definitive list of the best A24 films made ever. And it's ranked by the tomatoes themselves. Now, I don't particularly trust the tomatoes myself, and I'm sure you guys don't as well, because you've seen probably the news that came out last year that you can actually buy some of these reviews from people. So it's not the best list ever, but we're going to go with it. And sitting at number one is Lady Bird, which I personally don't think is the number one A24 film ever, especially as it's followed by Eighth Grade, which again, I don't think that's up there, but again, let's just go with it for now. In fact, I'm not really enjoying this list at all. So I'm just going through it really quickly. So far, I say After Sun is definitely the best from this list. Amy, which is a documentary which came out in 2015, not the most recent Amy Winehouse film. I have seen this. It is pretty good, but it is a documentary, so we're going to leave out documentaries for this. First Cow is sitting at number 11, which, sure, okay, why not? Past Lives is number 12. I don't like that film. But this is not about me. So you guys in the chat, tell me, out of this list so far, is this list correct? Do you think this list is correct? Who agrees with me here? Hey, Claron. Who agrees with this list? Because to me, this list doesn't seem right. It seems all over the place. And I think if I keep going down, I'm going to find even better films that are sitting, like First Reformed is a tremendous film by Paul Schrader. Fantastic film. Really, over the past 10 years, it's up there in the top 15 best films made. So I'm not sure how it's sitting at number 18. That doesn't make sense to me. Has anyone seen First Reformed? And can you tell me, do you think First Reformed is not better than Eighth Grade? Or I think it's better than Moonlight. But anyway, talk to me. What do you think? Do you think that that list is good? Because I don't. There we go. Thank you, Matt. You agree. It's not good. Claremont Watch First Reformed. It's so good. Florida Project. I've not seen it, but I've heard good things. Now, from this list, Zone of Interest is sitting at number, just saw it there a second ago. It's basically not anywhere near the top. And then we also had, there we go, Zone of Interest 24, Everything Everywhere All at Once 23. This list is not great, is it? One of you guys said Ex Machina. That is number 28. I know it's probably not called Ex Machina. It's definitely not called Ex Machina, but I've just called it Ex Machina. So we're going with that. Disaster Artist, actually a really good film. Taking aside James Franco and his personal issues, it's a really good film. Uncut Gems is 36. Good Time, which is better than Uncut Gems in my humble opinion, is 38. So this list is not great. So I think the thing that this list really shows us, I'm going to get rid of this list now actually because it's boring me and it's not very good. I think what this list really shows us is that everyone has different tastes in film, which, you know, that's a fact anyway. But I think on top of that, A24 have a lot of good films. They have a lot of interesting films. So I think I have to ask the question, why I don't understand why they now need to start branching out into these big commercial films. So has anyone seen Civil War? Let me know in the chat, because it felt like they were shifting away from their model of being more experimental. Now, I've not seen Civil War myself personally, but I've heard from various sources that it's good, first and foremost, but I've also heard that it's very much different from any other A24 film that there's been thus far. So thanks for the super chat, Vitaphone. Thank you so much. This, you know what, this is a great point. This is a fantastic point, actually, with the BFI putting Janine Delaman at number 1. Critics have replaced proper critique with social politics. That is very, very true. We're going to come back to that in a minute, but we're going to stay on track for a little bit. But I do love that comment. So yeah, Galaxy Moonlight. Just let me know if is it Moonlight or is it Moonlight? Galaxy Moonlight. My friend watched Civil War and said it was incredible. Okay. Anyone else seen Civil War? There we go. Phone. I watched Civil War. I think it's a proper A24 film. It's not Saving Private Ryan. It's more Full Metal Jacket. Okay, that's good. I like that. That's wonderful. Because I think for me, I'm not this massive A24 fan. I am not a huge A24 fan. I don't dislike A24. At the same time, I'm not this. I know a lot of people are absolute super fans, uber fans of A24. I'm not in either bracket. I'm just kind of there. You know, I don't really care if it's made by A24 or made by Disney or whatever. If a film's good, a film's good. It doesn't really matter what studio it is. If a script's good, a script's good. But my issue is that I think a lot of people give A24 a lot of leeway to make bad films, which, you know, by any extension, all studios make bad films. So it's not that A24 are doing anything wrong. It's impossible to make a great film every single time. But I think A24 are given this special treatment, aren't they? Because when I put this particular subject in the poll, this won the poll. Everyone wanted to talk about A24. So are they this magical studio that can do no wrong? And I think that's going to be my next question that I'm going to put up here. I'm going to put up a very simple question. And I want you guys to let me know your thoughts. Do you think that A24 is overrated? Let me know. Or do you think, I like this comment actually. I do like this comment. A24 is a genre in and itself. Yeah. I think that's actually my issue with A24 actually. I think that to me seems like a bit of a problem. If a studio is making films that are specific, so specific that they become a genre, that's where we have a bit of an issue. Because sure, you have Disney who make a lot of animations and Marvel and Star Wars, so they've almost become a genre within themselves. But the fact that you can go, that's an A24 film, to me seems a bit problematic. And surely they should be able to branch off and make different kind of films. And this is why I can't firmly say I'm in the A24 camp. Because if you're making films that fit your narrative as a studio, because you want to be cool, that it doesn't leave much scope for branching out into films that could be potentially even better, in my humble opinion. Hello, Anna. A24. Here we go. Hello, Issa, as well. A24 makes bold movies as compared to other studios who release cookie cutter movies. Yeah. Do they though? Do they? Can we say that A24 make more bold movies than most studios? Can we say that? Is that a statement that is factually correct? And that's not me trying to challenge you, Issa. I'm just saying, I'm asking the people in the chat. Do you think that A24 make bolder films? Because I don't think they do. So I am challenging you in the end. I don't think they do. I think what they do is they market themselves as making bolder films. And they do make some bold films, but they market themselves as making bolder films, and then everyone buys into the narrative and they get away with a lot. And that's kind of where I'm coming at it from. But again, I want some people to actually say that's incorrect, because I don't want this to be an echo chamber. I want you guys to definitely view your opinion. A24 is more auteur focused, so yes. Thank you for that comment. I don't know. I mean, I do want to. I love this. I love the fact that A24 has this mantle to itself, that everyone thinks that it's this magical unicorn that does this magical thing that is so auteur friendly, and it does these wonderful art house films. I love that. I love the fact they've created this mystique about themselves, but I don't think it's true. And there are examples where it's not true. And there are examples where when they've let auteurs go too far. And I think this is a very crucial point in cinema history, because if we're getting auteurs that go and do what they want to do, we're going to end up with a bunch of trash. Now, there's a studio back in the 80s. There's actually a film called The Deer Hunter, which came out in 1978, top of my head. If someone could fact check that, that'd be wonderful. And it starred Robert De Niro and Christopher Walken. It won loads of Oscars. The director, Michael Cimino, Italian director, American-Italian director. That was his first film, his debut film, and he won the Best Director. The film won Best Picture. I think someone else won an Oscar. It wasn't De Niro, though. Anyway, after that, he was given the freedom of Hollywood. So all the studios wanted to work with him. And he went on to make a film called Heaven's Gate, which is a period drama set in America. And it was the most costly film made by that studio at the time. And when the film came out, it bombed. It absolutely bombed. And it bankrupted the studio. So this idea that auteurs should just get the chance to do whatever they want, to me, it doesn't ring true with me. I think there needs to be a level of control, and no one likes to have their work controlled. And I would hate it if I made a film and someone came in and edited it and did what they wanted with it. So I understand that everyone loves this vision, this magical vision that directors should get to do whatever they want, whatever their vision is. Unfortunately, that's how we have films like Rebel Moon, because one director got a lot of press and a lot of support from the public, and he was able to go off, and Netflix gave him the chance to make 2 films, well, 3 films now. He's made Army of the Dead, what's it called? Whatever that crappy film was. Rebel Moon 1, Rebel Moon 2. He's got director's cuts coming out. I think he also produced the Army of the Dead spin-off. Is that what you want? Do you want that? Do you want Beau is Afraid, a 3-hour film that flopped hard? Is this what we want? Anyway, I've stopped. Let me stop rambling and I can start putting some of your comments up on the chat. Heaven's Gate. Thank you, Jay. I've got so many great comments here. Thank you guys for these comments. And thank you so much if you just joined. This is my second ever broadcast, live chat. But it's really my first ever one because the first one was a test. This one's going much better. Although I did like the first one. Thank you for everyone who joined. But I was just kind of winging it. And I've practiced a little bit. And I'm going to show you all my tricks pretty soon. In fact, let me show you a trick right now. It's going to be a really fun trick. I'm going to show you guys a clip from one of the best films of all time. And I want you guys, I'm going to come back to this A24 stuff in a minute, but I want to show you this incredible scene. It's one of the greatest scenes in cinema history. And I want you guys to tell me what you think about the dialogue and the mise en scène and the lighting, just the cinematography. Have a little watch, okay? Now, believe it or not, that is that's an A24 film. That is an A24 film. That is what happens when you let auteurs do what they want. So I hope you guys are prepared for the future, because that's what happens when you let directors do what they want. That'll be a lesson to you, okay? It was definitely Godard. Okay, Isa. Give him an Oscar and a Grammy for long. No, Anna. Okay, so I'm going to ask another question. And I want you guys to answer it for me. And I'm hoping that everyone's got some wonderful answers. And whilst I'm typing this out, can you guys tell me what that worst A24 film is? Let me know. Should a director get to do whatever they want? It's not a trick question. You can answer that however you want. Should a director get to do whatever they want? And obviously, I've just had a bit of a rant about Zack Snyder, and I don't particularly think he should get to do whatever he wants, in my humble opinion. Maybe you guys do think that he should get to do whatever he wants, but I don't think they should. Now, to counter argument what I said about directors not getting to do whatever they want, should a director like Martin Scorsese get to do whatever he wants? I mean, he's made so many films. He's made numerous genius films over the years. Tarantino, numerous other directors who have made consistently great films. Should they get to do whatever they want? Is it okay that Once Upon a Time in Hollywood has more scenes of Brad Pitt driving in the car than Margot Robbie talking on screen? Is that good use of time? Do you think that's good? Do you think directors should get to do whatever they want? Because I will go and watch any Martin Scorsese film. I really will. I'm a huge fan. So he can do whatever he wants. And I'm okay with that. And if that's what you guys mean by auteur-driven work, because you love a director's work, then that's fine. I'm cool with that. Because like I just said, I will. But it feels to me like a lot of directors nowadays are getting the chance to do whatever they want and haven't really proven themselves, such as Paul Thomas Anderson, such as Martin Scorsese, so forth. It just seems like a director now can make one good film and then go off and make a 3-hour epic about a man called Bow, or whatever. Hello, Robert. Rob, is it Robert or Rob? Hello, Rob. Okay. Vito, most of the time, no. Is anyone going to take on Vito here? Is anyone going to say to Vito that he's wrong? Is anyone going to tell Vito, Vita? Is anyone going to tell Vita, sorry, Vita, Vitaphone, that he is wrong? I did my own edits on just the good ones. Okay, so just the good ones, just the good ones. Okay, so I agree with that. But how do we quantify who's a good director and who's not? Because as we've seen, if we look at this Rotten Tomatoes, if you just joined, we had a look at the Rotten Tomatoes list of A24's best films ever. And at the top was Lady Bird, and second was Eighth Grade, and there was a whole bunch of stuff on that list that that were in the wrong order, in my opinion. But how do we know what's good? How do we know what's bad? Because what I love necessarily won't be what you love, William. So yeah, how do we decide who should get to make whatever they want? How much adversity is too much? Budget limitations is a lot, but studio interference. So I think the studio interference thing is very interesting because I really like Chris Stuckman. I don't really watch him religiously, but he seems like a really nice person. And I think there was a video that he released. And the thing is, he's starting to make his own film, which I really love. And I've supported him financially with that. I mean, I'm not a producer on his film, but he had a campaign and I put money towards it. And he seems like a really nice person. But now that he's making his own films, he's now reviewing films that he likes only, which to me makes you not a critic. If you're only reviewing stuff that you like, then you're not really a critic. But anyway, he's a nice guy. I'm not having a go at Chris Stuckman. The issue I have is he came up with a video where he said that it's the audience's fault that films are not good, and that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. And I think what he was trying to say was the studio interference. Firstly, audiences not going to the smaller films and not supporting the smaller films, and on top of that, studios are interfering with the films. And he was defending Madam Web. Has anyone seen Madam Web? Because how you can defend Madam Web is beyond me. But it kind of comes to this point here, Sydney, which is the studio interference thing, which is one of these urban legends where everyone thinks the studio is going to, just kind of jump in and stop you from doing what you want to do. And I guess they will. It's their money. They can do what they want. And honestly speaking, if it's their money and they can do what they want, it's down to them. If they make edits to your film that are not true to your vision, but it makes them loads of money, then they've won. And it makes them they get loads of Oscars, they've won and you've lost. If they've made edits to your film and made it worse and the film flops, they've lost. But it's their money. They can do what they want. So I make films, and I would be absolutely mortified if a studio actually edited my film. But it's not my money, so they can do what they want. So this studio interference thing, I think is a bit, it happens. It's not a myth. It happens, but I haven't got an issue with it. I honestly don't. And again, if it happened to me, I'd be really angry, but you know the game. It's like saying, I love soccer. It's like saying I scored a goal. That probably won't mean a lot to most people, but if you score a goal, but it's not a goal because the rules say it's not a goal, it's not a goal. You have to play within the boundaries are given. Thank you so much for the super chat, Vitaphone. Said your name right this time. Look at the Star Wars original trilogy versus the prequels. It's a prime example of adversity versus total control in the wrong hands. Oh, this is a good one. This is a good one. And I tell you why it's a good one. Because there are rumors that I think have been proven true. Maybe someone can tell me in the chat that George Lucas was actually really effing up the making of that film. And the studios came in and they fixed it. Those are the rumors. I don't know if that's true. which would therefore kind of prove the fact that studio interference sometimes is a good thing. And this does link into A24. We are still talking about A24, but we're just kind of approaching it from a different angle. But if anyone can disprove what I just said, that would be fantastic. If anyone can do that. Offside, yeah, offside. Okay, Jay. Love you, Jay. M. Night made The Happening when the studio gave him more control. Guys, that is like a mic drop moment, isn't it? That is a mic drop moment. That is a moment when you pick up the mic and you just drop it, because come on. Come on. M. Night has been, since probably Unbreakable, he's been unbreakable. So what I mean by that is when Unbreakable came out, Sixth Sense came out, Unbreakable came out, he was untouchable. And then he made a couple of other films. Someone can help me out here. They were big successes as well. And then he started to make crap, like The Happening. And since then, he's been on this trajectory, sliding down a mud pile towards the bottom of Hollywood. He's made a couple of good films here and there, like Split. I like Split, but follow-up was awful. And then his last film, Cabin in the Woods, I think, was just dog turd. M. Night Shyamalan is a fantastic example. So can someone argue against that? Someone tell me a director who has got full autonomy of their work, but keeps on doing great stuff. Okay, Anna. To add for Star Wars Discourse, Matrix 3. Maybe there's a bit more here, Anna, that I've missed out on. I think it's here. Stop, because there's no 1K people having. Yeah, I totally agree with that. I'm not going to say it because I'm not too sure how YouTube works with censorships and copyright strikes and me getting slapped on the wrist. So I'm not going to repeat this word, but I do totally agree with that. Right. Sydney, Paul Thomas Anderson's worst film. Sydney, Hard 8 is his worst film. And it's due to the studio interference, likely. When he got more control, he did the masterpiece of Magnolia. Sydney, you know what? It's ironic that your name is Sydney because you said Sydney here. Yeah. That joke did not land. It's a terrible joke. I thought it was going somewhere because I thought you said Hard 8, and I was going to tell you that it was actually called Sydney originally. We wrote Sydney already. Anyway, back to the point. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with this, Sydney. I don't think that's his worst film. I think his worst film is what's the film he made after The Master? Was it before or after The Master? After The Master or before The Master? It was after The Master. He made the film with Joaquin Phoenix, which is based on a Raymond Chandler novel, or it's kind of got that kind of flavor to it. If anyone can help me out in the chat. Yes, that's the one. You've actually helped me out yourself. Thank you so much. I think that's his worst film. I love Hard 8. I do love Hard 8. It's up there. So I don't quite agree with that. Servant. Are we defending M. Night Shyamalan, people? Are we going to do this? Are we going to sit here and defend M. Night Shyamalan? I would love that. I think I kind of like him. He's going out there, he's making his own films with his own money, and he doesn't want studio interference. So he said, I'm going to make films with my own money. And he has, you know what? From a technical standpoint, he's a fantastic director. He's really, really excellent director from a technical standpoint. When it comes to writing, though, he's not. But love that. Here we go. George Animation asks you, what do you think about Mulholland Drive 2001? It's very off topic, but I'm going to go there. Let's do this. Mulholland Drive is a masterpiece. It's a masterpiece. It makes no sense. And ironically, Cody, this makes sense because that's what Mulholland Drive is. It's an incoherent mess. But in David Lynch's head, it makes perfect sense. Licorice Pizza. Are you saying moronic? I'm going to just call you moronic. Moronic iconic. Do you think this is his worst film? Do you think this is his worst film? Let me know in the comment. Because I don't think this is his worst film. I actually really enjoyed Licorice Pizza. It's what do they call it? It's a film that you just go with. There's no real story, but I actually really liked it. I preferred it to Incoherent Vice, and I think I like it as much as The Master. And you guys are going to kill me now. I prefer it to Phantom Thread. I prefer it to Phantom Thread. Please, in the comments, don't kill me. I don't like Phantom Thread. Bit of a mouthful. I do not like it. I think it's better than that. Obsession, twist ending killed him. He can't pull it off anymore, totally. And a lot of people started copying him. And that's what we had during the 2000s, was just a load of M. Night Shyamalan twist films that are terrible, absolutely terrible. Should the director get to do whatever they want? That was my last question, but we've kind of evolved the chat since then. And I like the fact that we're not talking about A24, because I'm not going to lie to you guys, I didn't want to talk about A24. So I was really annoyed when it won, because I don't care about A24. Because honestly, a studio is a studio. I think the only studio that really are letting themselves down is Disney. I think they are the ones that are consistently making mistakes over and over and over again. But I think the other studios every now and again come up with a gem. And I don't think A24 are any better than any other studio. I think, I love what have I seen recently. You know what I finished? I'm going to do a review on very shortly. I'm going to do a review on Shogun, the TV show, which is on Disney Plus. And I'm not a big fan of Disney, but it's on Disney Plus. So even Disney can make good content. I don't like that word, content, but it just goes to show that I don't think A24 is special, but we're going to keep talking about A24 because you guys wanted that. And I don't want to talk about it, but we're going to do that. Let's talk about it. Okay. Dita, thank you very much for that lovely message there. Phantom Thread is a masterpiece. Can you tell me why? And can anyone else defend Phantom Thread? Here we go, another person defending it. Sydney, heartbreaking. Phantom Thread is beautiful. I'm sorry, Sydney. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I feel like I've offended a lot of people. Anyone else defending Phantom Thread here? Thankfully not. No one else defending it. Thank God. Shogun is really good. X-Men 97, good stuff. I just watched, before I came on the stream, I just watched episode 6 of X-Men 97, which I'm not going to give away what happens, but obviously this had to happen because episode 5 was so epic and it took us to a place where stuff happened, really massive stuff happened. So episode 6 had to be kind of a come down from that, and it was good, but it was a bit too otherworldly for me without giving things away. Okay, I don't think a director shouldn't have all freedom, because what if Roman Polanski or any other predator? Oh dear, Anna, you're gonna get me banned. You're gonna single-handedly get me banned. I don't know. I don't even know if I can comment on that, because that is going to get me banned if I even talk about the subject. Shall I go there in the chat? In the chat, if I should go, should I talk about these two people? Just put a 1 in the chat if you think I should talk about Roman Polanski, because it's a very tricky subject. But I do want to talk about it. So let me know in the chat if you think I should do that. Put a 1 in the chat if I should talk about Roman Polanski. And if you put some 1s, I'll talk about him. But I should not. Yeah, Ozana, you might be right when you say no, I shouldn't. Shonuff is the real Shogun. I don't know what that is, Matt. Let me know what that is. What is Shonuff? Johan, you've put a 1. You put a 1. I've only got 1, so that's fine. That's fine. Any more 1s, and I will talk about Roman Polanski, because it's a pretty interesting subject, and unfortunately he has made some of the best films ever made. but there are some issues there. But I'm hoping that no one else puts a 1 because I don't want the channel to get shut down. I think we're all doing very well here. We're all having fun. And I do not want us to get shut down. But at the same time, you know what? We get shut down, we get shut down. We come back again. If you built it once, you can build it again. Arrest them all. Yeah. And I think we're going to avoid Roman Polanski. I'm going to say that he made Chinatown, which is definitely one of the best scripts ever written, if not the best script ever written, along with probably like Groundhog Day and I'd say Pulp Fiction and also The Apartment and Sunset Boulevard. These are like some of the greatest scripts ever written. But he has done some stuff that is unspeakable, and we won't speak about it. Okay, Nolan had full creative control in Oppenheimer. Yeah, I mean, Nolan's got full creative control in any film that he's made since The Dark Knight, because that has made him the darling of. He's basically the A24 of directors. He can do what he wants, and people will always support him. And I think in our last live session, I said, can anyone in the chat have a go at Christopher Nolan? And I'm going to say it again. I'm actually going to put it as a banner. Can anyone say anything negative about Christopher Nolan? I'm not asking the question, can anyone say anything negative? I'm saying, can you guys actually do that right now? All right? And nothing personal, just about his filmmaking skills, please. I don't want to get into beef with Christopher Nolan. Okay, but yeah, he's one of these directors who can do. He can literally stand in the middle of Times Square and take a dump, walk away, and someone will say that he did that on purpose, and there was a purpose to it. That's the kind of director that Christopher Nolan is right now. Okay, and I don't think that is conducive to growth as a filmmaker. You can just say what you want. I'm going to put this even as a scroll. I want you guys to say some stuff about Christopher Nolan. Vitaphone, do it. Do it. Go on. Galaxy. Christopher Nolan is a master in filmmaking. Cannot deny that. Cannot deny that. He is a master in filmmaking. He is definitely a master in filmmaking. Totally agree with you. Nolan negative. Blasphemy. Ooh, here, this is a good one. Here we go. He lacks soul. Yes, he does lack soul. He's a very, like, M. Night Shyamalan, he's a very technical writer and a very technical director. And therefore, what tends to happen in a Christopher Nolan film is that his female characters are hugely underwritten. They get nothing to do. And they often are archetypes or trophies, like in Inception, where you've got a wonderful actor like Marion Cotillard and you don't really use her properly. And there's various examples of this. Even in Oppenheimer, Emily Blunt doesn't do anything. So I would say that that is definitely a fact. And you've gone in him again, Galaxy. Tenet went too far. Oh dear. But wasn't Tenet a flop and hated by fans and normies? Yeah, it was a flop. Do you know what? I don't think it would have been a flop if it didn't come out during COVID, though. So I'm not going to have a go at it for being a flop. But in terms as being a film, it definitely was disappointing. Music over dialogue. Yes, Oppenheimer. My hugest problem with Oppenheimer is the whole thing is like a musical concert. And there's dramatic moments that need pauses, that don't need music. And there's music in those scenes. There's also two scenes of just absolute pointlessness where there's a sex scene that doesn't need to be there. Christopher Nolan is the Hans Zimmer of bombastic and legendary. Again, Anna, love that comment. Ozan, can't hear shit in Tenet. Yes, neither can I. Interstellar is an exception. Inception as good or Inception as being bad? I hated Interstellar. Okay, you've okay. I actually like Interstellar. I think it's pretty good. His films are now good ideas, totally unpolished. His strongest since Inception was Dunkirk, as its 3 short films. There is mostly a nightmare of a nightmare of exposition, clunky delivery, with no real character. I want to agree with that, and I'm going to come back to that. I do want to agree to that. Memento, following Tenet, were one of my favorites of Nolan. Jay? No. You can't. No. Memento, the following, thumbs up. Really? Tenet? Is that from, what is this? Is this from Dune? I think it is. Tenet was the Black James. It was. It wasn't very good, but it was definitely the Black James Bond. I give it that. Oppenheimer, and I became deaf to my ears. Oh dear. Since Batman problem. Anyway, listen, we've kind of moved away from A24, and I don't want to do that. I do want to conclusively sit here and talk about A24. This is my punishment for putting it as a poll. So let's keep talking about A24. Let's go back to the good stuff. Let's go back to the good times. Let's talk about A24's worst film. I do want to keep it there. So let's go back to what we were doing before. We've gone off. A24's worst film, because there is going to be a point to this. I have thought of a lesson plan. This is school, and we're going to learn something today. So let's do A24's worst film. In the comments, please. A24's worst film. Let's do this. Let's talk about the good and the bad. Let's talk about A24. And straight away off the bat, Green Knight. Yes, please. Yes, please. Turd. This is what happens when you let directors do whatever they want. You get a turd. Now, many people are going to come in the comments and defend the Green Knight, and you're well within your rights to do so, because film is subjective. And this is what I said. I don't want this to be an echo chamber of people saying the same things. I don't want that on my channel whatsoever. So if you think Green Knight is a good film, which you probably do, then let me know. But I think it's terrible. I really do. Alex Garland's ones. Can't disagree with you. Do not like him as a director. He's a good writer, though. He is a good writer. So I'll give him that. But as a director, I'm not a huge fan. Midsommar. I like Midsommar. I'm not going to watch it again in my life, but I do like it. It's too long. It's what happens when you let a director do what they want. The film's too long. He made Hereditary, and then he made Midsommar, and then he made Beau is Afraid, and I do not like it at all. Spring Breakers. Issa, thank you. If you guys weren't here at the beginning of the chat, I said one of my best friends took me to see Spring Breakers at the cinema, at the theater, and it was definitely the worst film I've seen at the cinema. It's either that or Only God Forgives. It's between those two, or Batman vs Superman, or Man of Steel, or Watchmen, or anything by Zack Snyder. I'm just kidding. Don't kill me. I'm just kidding. Men. Definitely up there. I can't lie to you and say that I've seen it, but it's definitely up there. Spring Breakers, bad imitation of a Michael Mann movie. Yes. I didn't like the Children Act from A24. I've not seen that, Andrew. I've not seen that. Can you tell me a bit more about that? Let me know. Sent Maud, Worst Tusk. Kevin Smith. I'm going to go off on a bit of a tangent here. Kevin Smith. That's the tangent I'm going to go on. I loved his first films. And when I was a kid, I loved Mallrats, and I loved, what's his first film? I'll remember it in a second. and I love Chasing Amy and all those early films. But I was young, so it was like, this guy's amazing. He's saying cool stuff. And then I got older. Clerks, that's it. Thank you, Matt. Clerks. And then I got older, and I grew up, and I like him as a person. Like he's really, really funny guy. But as a director, he's so limited, and he's not improved his skills over the years. And that to me is really weird, because as you get older, I'm sure you learn more stuff. But he is a very bad technical director, which it just baffles me. Yeah. Anyway, The Beguiled. Sofia Coppola. The legend of Sofia Coppola. Very A24 director. Don't like her work, unfortunately. Has anyone seen Priscilla? Don't like her work. And I really want to like her work, because you know what? I actually think she's okay in Godfather 3. Has anyone seen Godfather 3? I think she's okay in that film. And I want to like her work. I really do, but I just don't like her work. And I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Okay, so Vitaphone, I'm assuming these are your favorite. There's a list of gems, so these are your favorite ones. Yes, totally. Totally agree with those. Absolutely agree with those. Got to go. Enjoyed this. Matt, thank you so much. Beautiful. I'll see you again in a few days, hopefully. Thanks for your comments. Sofia Coppola is a director who tries too hard, in my opinion. Totally agree. And I think at times it feels like she's not trying enough. Very quaint films about nothing, which is not cool. Sofia Coppola is a normal director. Yeah, she is. She's a normal director. That's exactly what she is. Is Kevin Smith a nerd director? Is the nerd director directed most of the CW? No. Well, yes and no. He directed a couple of episodes of, I think, The Flash. But I don't know if he directed any other CW show. But I know he directed a couple of episodes of The Flash, and they were good. What's your opinion on Ty West time movies? Are you excited for Maxine? Whoa. Okay. Galaxy, you're hitting me with like people I don't know anything of. What is this? Ty West X movies. I don't know that. Anyone know about these films? I don't know anything about these films. Is he the director of Pearl? Is that the same person? Let me know. The Killer by David Fincher felt like an A24 movie to me. It did feel like an A24 movie to me as well. But do you know why that is? And I'm going to tell you why that is. That is because A24 right now, as I said earlier on, are one of the most, probably the most popular studio. If you don't know anything about film, you probably heard of Paramount, you've probably heard of Disney, you've probably heard of all the individual studios. But I think if you're a normie and you watch a film, you definitely know who A24 are. And I think most normies love A24. And by that, what I mean is a lot of films now that are not A24 films look like A24 films because it's popular to do so. So I believe even a director as strong as David Fincher could succumb to the will of doing a A24 film. But also Netflix, when they make a good film, typically it has an A24 flavor to it. So that could also be what's happening there. And of course, yes, The Killer is an Netflix film. He did Pearl. I got it right. How do I know that? I've not seen any of these films, and there you go. This is the problem when you love film, and I'm sure you guys have the same infliction, is that you just know random shit about film that you shouldn't really know. It's just sitting there in your brain, and you just like, I wish I could get rid of it and then put something really important in there. If I wish I could learn mathematical equations or science, and build like a time machine and go back in time and make my mum kiss my dad and stuff. That would be so cool if I could do that, but I can't. And I just know random shit about film. It's really not cool. Ozan, thank you very much. A24 has been interchangeable with indie. It's also a myth. There is no A24 look. I totally agree with that. Totally agree with that. Vitaphone, totally agree with that. There is no A24 look. There's an independent film look that's been shot on digital camera and it's quite quaint. And then it's A24. So yeah, I do not think there's an A24 look. And it's a huge myth. A24 sometimes distributes Netflix movies. Do you think it's the other way? I think it's the other way around. I think because A24 they do distribute, that is correct, but they would only, Netflix is a distributor, so they would only distribute their own films. So it'd be A24 films on Netflix. How to get the A24 look is the most overused YouTube. I'm laughing because I've seen a couple of those videos, and that is true. Yeah. But you can make a movie about you making a time machine, doing what you want, and news about it, consequences of the move, going back in time. Do you know what? I can do that. I can do that. But one thing I've learned from making films, if you guys want to make films, and I'm sure some of you have made films, and if you want to learn about making films, the one thing you need to make a film is money. And I've made now 6 feature films, and so I've directed 6 feature films, and I've produced 1 feature film. And you need money. And how I've done it is a miracle because I'm not rich. I don't live in a mansion because I spend money on stupid films. But how you do it, how you make films is money and a good script. And honestly, if you want to make a film, I suggest you just go out there and make a film. Just do it. Get a camera, make a film. You don't always need money if you call in favors from friends, but I don't tend to do that, so I'm a bit stupid. Is Uncut Gems really better? Really a better Adam Sandler performance than Punch Drunk Love? Yeah, it is. It is a better performance than Punch Drunk Love. It is. If anyone disagrees with me, let me know in the comments. But I do think Adam Sandler's best performance is in Punch Drunk Love. So guys, you've not said anything negative about Christopher Nolan, so I'm going to take the banner off, and I am going to put another question in there. So we've had the best A24 films. We've had the worst A24 films. We're now going to talk about the benefit of being part of the A24 cult as it is. Do you guys align yourselves with A24 for a certain reason? Is it because they are seen as making good films? Would that be the reason? Why do you like A24 so much? Let me know in the comments. Why is it that you like A24 so very much? Because as I said, when I put it in the poll, this won. Now, it didn't win by a landslide, but it definitely won. So why is it, do you think, that A24 are just so popular? And I'm sitting here waiting for you guys to give me the most incredible answer that anyone could ever give in the history of answers. Why are A24 so popular? That is my question. I want someone to come up with something so beautiful. And then after we've gone through that, we're going to conclusively decide whether A24 are good or bad. And then we're all going to depart and get ready for another stream on another day. Because this has been beautiful. But I do want to come to a conclusion here. Otherwise, what have we been doing? So let's do this. Let's do this. Why A24? So, why is A24? That doesn't make any sense, does it, guys? Let me change that. Why do you love A24? Tell me. And then I'm going to tell you that you're probably not wrong to love A24. So yeah, tell me why you love A24. it's now the subject before we come to a conclusion. Okay. With so many blockbuster movies these days that aren't good, A24 offers something different that can be connected to audiences on a deeper level. I love that. This is why I love you guys. This is why I absolutely love you guys, because anytime I post a video, I can guarantee that you guys are going to say something incredible. Anytime I post something on a community page, a poll, you guys vote for the thing that I think you're going to vote for, unless you're voting for Babylon, which we'll talk about some other time. And then you say something beautiful about you don't just say something, you back it up with either facts or really strong opinions. This is why I love that you guys follow me, and thank you so much for following me. Issa, they make good movies and are underdogs, so it's easy to root for them. Totally agree with that. I don't think they're underdogs anymore. I must caveat that, but they were underdogs for sure. Hey, good to have you on board. Directors over studios. Don't love the studio. William, don't jump ahead of us now. Don't do that. But I'm going to keep that. It's one of my favorite ones. And we'll come back to that at some point. A24 film, Adita, A24 films feel like they have lesser amounts of inhibitions. Totally agree with you on that point. They know how to market their movies and themselves very effectively and cheap too. Totally agree with that. In fact, I would say they market their films better than any other studio in Hollywood right now. And to be honest with you, it's not hard, because most studios now just dump out a trailer, put loads of music in it. They have these little 20 seconds or 10-second things before, trailer is starting now. Yeah, I know the trailer's starting now because I'm about to watch the trailer. I don't need to tell me that the trailer's starting now. And they show you little snippets of it, and then it's like music, and then it's like a 2-minute trailer, and at the end, it's like available on Amazon Prime. Thank you so much. I guess I'll watch your film on Amazon Prime then. Any other people want to defend A24 before we come to a wonderful conclusion? Anyone going to do that right now? A24, for some reason, for the same reason I subscribe to the Criterion and Mubi, I trust their averages, and that their baton average tells me they will likely enjoy the film and enjoy something outside of the box. Completely ruined that, but I think we all get the vibe of what you mean. Yeah, okay, so I think everyone said why they love A24, and I think it's pretty obvious why everyone loves A24. It's because A24, okay, so in the 50s and the 60s, we had, in the 50s, we had rock music or rock and roll music. We had Elvis Presley, and we had the Big Bopper, and so forth and so forth. And then in the 60s, we had pop music. You had the Beatles, you had Rolling Stones, which is not really pop, but kind of is. And you had, again, Elvis was in the 60s. And then you had Motown. And then in the 70s, you had the beauty of, bloody pop music. And then you have punk music. And punk music was so popular because it was the anti of pop music, anti of the Beatles, and the anti of the Rolling Stones. And it was just a completely fresh breath of fresh air. And the Sex Pistols were like, F the royalty, F the Queen, God kill the Queen, and all this crap. And it's just very anti what is the norm. So if we can look at that from a filmmaking standpoint, or films in general, A24 are the punk music of films. They are the adverse. They're the inverse and the adverse of studio films. So yes, they make small, quaint films that are director-driven, that typically are not big blockbusters. They don't make a lot of money, but they make their money back in some cases. And they dare to challenge the norm. So that's why I feel that everyone loves A24. And who does not love a person who challenges the norm? Everyone loves it. Everyone loves it until they become the norm. So what's happening right now with Civil War and A24 is that they're becoming the norm. And what you're going to see as A24 slowly start to shift towards more commercial films. And I know someone in the chat, who can't remember, said that Civil War was quite A24 film still. The marketing wasn't A24. The marketing was huge. Like the press releases and the coverage from the interviews with the actors and just the posters and the way that even the name itself, it just sounds like Civil War. This is going to be a film, a blockbuster. The trailer, explosions, little quaint moments of Kirsten Dunst looking at flowers. So they are now becoming the norm, and they're going to make bigger and bigger films. So it will get to the point where A24 are not popular with people who don't like the norm. And it happens in life, There's loads of music artists who start off quite small and people love them, and then they shift. Like The Weeknd, for example, started very small, very somber albums, and then he's now a pop star, and people don't, he's a huge pop star, everyone loves him, but the people who loved him at the beginning don't love him. So A24 will eventually become your least favorite studio. That's what I'm trying to say. So this kind of brings me back to the point that I'm going to go to one of the star chats here. Bring me to the point that someone said a few seconds ago, which is, it's not about the studios. It's about the directors. It's about the writers. It's really not about the studios at all. So let me see if I can find it. It was William. Directors over studios. Don't love the studio. You guys, in the chat, because this is going to lead us onto our last point for tonight. In the chat, tell me who your favorite director is. That's all I want to know. Who is your favorite director? Tell me that now. And this will be the last question before we wrap up for today. Who is your favorite director? I'm going to get rid of that scrolling banner. It's really annoying. Sorry, guys. Yes, tell me. Who's your favorite director working ever? Who's your favorite director ever? Because this is going to wrap things up. This is going to lead us into our next stream, which will happen hopefully in another couple of days. And it will kind of put a line under the A24 stuff. So who is your favorite director? PTA. PTA, for me, is the A24 of A24 of filmmakers. I'll talk about him in a minute. Michael Mann for now. Michael Mann, really? Oh, yeah, why not? I mean, ever? Yeah, sure. Yeah, love that. Currently Villeneuve. A few years ago, Fincher. Even more ago, Wes Anderson. Anna, you're great. Tarantino, brilliant director. Ever? Kubrick. Kraziz. Am I saying that? Kraziz. I'm not going to forget that name. When you jump on another chat, I won't forget you. Neon. I went over. Forget that. Forget you saw that, everyone. I'll come back to that in a minute, Vita Phone. The late Kubrick. Wonderful choice. Rasitas. Akira. Rasitas, where are you from? It's a cool name. I love that name. Akira Kurosawa. Love it. Absolutely love that choice. Love that choice. Can I get into Alice Rochewasher? Allah Lassim Happy as you've lost me there. I don't know who that is, but I'm sure she is a fantastic director. I've actually heard of those two films though, so I need to educate myself. It's a me problem, not a you problem. Can't choose one. Lynch, Kim Ki-duk, and Villeneuve, the classic 40s, 50s directors. William, can you tell me who Kim Ki-duk is? I've never heard of that person. Let me know. Villeneuve, currently, because he restored my faith in blockbusters after the last horrible Matrix, which was awful. Tenet, indie, MCU, green screen, shite. Totally agree with you. FX has become A24. We'll come back to that in a minute. From Peru, Peru. So I met someone recently, like a month ago, and she said it's Peru, it's not Peru. And everyone in the UK calls it Peru. And the reason we do that is because Paddington, which is a very British teddy bear, and I used to read the books at school, and obviously now the films are wonderful and amazing. Even in the films, I think they say Peru, but it's Peru, isn't it? Fincher, love that. Nolan is overrated. I love Villeneuve. Classic director, probably Kubrick. Love this. Who's my favorite director? I will tell you that in a couple of seconds. And someone also asked me the other day how I got actors into Dune 2 and the Barbie film, and I'll answer that tonight as well. Before we wrap up, I adored Gopala Krishnan. Adore Gopala Krishnan. If I said that wrong, let me know. Korean director died recently of COVID. What films did he make? Let me know. Adore. Am I saying adore right? Anyway, so the point I'm trying to make is, or this is the point I'm trying to make, is everyone here can sit here and they can tell you who their favorite directors are. Everyone has sat here and told you who their favorite directors are, which is fantastic. And now I'm going to ask you this. And then you can tell me your thoughts. And then we're going to wrap up and I will tell you about how I got people into Barbie and Dune 2. And I think someone else had another question and I completely forgot what it was. My favorite director. So whilst you guys tell me who your favorite studio is, I'm going to tell you who my favorite director is. And it kind of flip-flops between different people. But I think my favorite all-time, I've got two lists. I've got who I think the best director is and who I think my favorite director is of all time. And I think my favorite director of all time is Martin Scorsese. And I just base that purely on the fact that a lot of the traits that he uses in his films, I tend to use in my films without even knowing it. And I think the greatest director ever, and you guys may see me differently when I say this, but I think the greatest director ever is Steven Spielberg. I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to leave that point there. I hate it when they praise Villeneuve by trashing Nolan. Very necessary. Yeah, totally agree. Totally agree. Totally agree with that. Favorite studio ever? Orion Pictures. Yes, Orion Pictures. He-Man. Who can forget the Masters of the Universe? I remember that logo used to come up just before I put in my VHS and watched Masters of the Universe with Dolph Lundgren. Incredible film. One of the greatest films ever made. Spielberg is unchallenged in the box office domain. He is, but he's also made some films that are artistic, brilliant films like Schindler's List and, well, just Schindler's List. I'm kidding, there's more. People love Munich. People love Saving Private Ryan. I love AI. He and the thing is, he doesn't just stick into one genre. He can jump between genres. He very overly sentimental. I agree with that. Sometimes way too commercial. But if then no one's been as successful doing both commercial and being so old school, so art house. I vibe with Warner Brothers. So I think what we're seeing here is not many people have said who their favorite studio is. Everyone said who their favorite director is. So I think the point I'm trying to make here is A24 are nothing. Let's forget about A24. I respect them, totally respect them. They've made some incredible films, and over the past 15 years, they are one of the top studios in the world. But it all comes down to the screenplay. It all comes down to the screenplay. If your screenplay is dog turd, your film's probably going to be dog turd. And if your director doesn't know how to interpret a great screenplay, you may not have a great film. But you may have a bad screenplay and have a good director, and you might have an interesting film. That's typically how film works. You have a great screenplay with a good director, you have a great film. You have a good screenplay with an average director, you have an okay film. You have a terrible screenplay with a fantastic director, you have an interesting film. And if you have a wonderful director, with a terrible screenplay, you have typically a very confusing film. I think I just said that. It's repeating myself. But the point is, it doesn't really matter who the studio is, because ultimately they take chances. They take chances. With them, it's gamble. Even A24, they gamble. Like, they don't know what's going to work. They don't know what's going to be good, especially nowadays. Like, you don't know what's going to be good. You don't know what's going to go on streaming. You don't know what's going to be successful financially or win Oscars. I mean, you get an inkling if you put the right team together. Say, for example, you get Kirsten Stewart and you get Anthony Hopkins and you get Denzel Washington. I mean, look at that cast. And then you get a nice script, and then you get a good director, a safe director, not a great director, a safe director. And by safe director, I mean an Oscar-friendly director. And you put them together, and you're probably going to have an Oscar-worthy film. And you probably then release your film towards Oscar season, and you might get a nomination. So the studio doesn't matter, guys. It doesn't matter. So to conclude, I don't ever want to talk about A24 again. And I love you guys, but I don't want to talk about A24 ever again. So I'm never going to put them in a poll ever again. But I'm glad you guys started naming some directors, because in the next stream, we're going to talk about, because this stream is now coming to its wonderful conclusion, we're going to talk about the best directors ever. And how we're going to do that, I want to do a tier list, but I'm not quite, I might do a tier list. We'll work it out, I'll work it out. But I want to maybe have a tier list of best directors. You guys, what do you think? A tier list, or shall we maybe just have a chat like we're doing now? I think a tier list might be quite fun. It's just, I don't know how to do that, and I'm going to have to learn. But let me know in the comments how you want that to be done. Okay, and how I got people into Barbie, and how I got people into Dune 2, and also got them into Spider-Man, Far From Home, and what's that film? What's that crappy spin-off from Fast and the Furious? Got people into that as well. Okay, so in my day job, I'm actually an agent, and I get actors jobs in films. So I'm a bit of an anomaly. I work as an agent in my day job. So, you know, any film that you see coming out, any TV show, whatever, typically my talent will audition for those roles. Like, for example, if you name a film that's coming out soon, my talent probably audition for one of those roles. And yeah, that's how I do it. So had about 20, so this wasn't for main roles in Barbie, it was just as Barbies. Had about 20 people as Barbies. And in Dune, I had one girl who was one of the thingies, you know, with the white faces and the black eyes, and, you know, I don't know their names. So yeah, I had a girl do that. So she went to Hungary. She filmed with Austin Butler and Florence Pugh. So yeah, and then with Far From Home, I had a girl. She auditioned for that, and she played Spider-Man's hijabi friend. So that was pretty cool. And then I had a couple of girls audition for Miss Marvel as well, and people auditioning for all sorts of stuff. So that's what I do in my day job. So when I'm not making videos, I'm busting my ass, looking at emails, getting people to do auditions. So there you go. That's how I did it. Anyway, I think we've come to a beautiful conclusion. You guys have been nothing but tremendous, honestly. And, you know, I think it's only fair that we end the stream with one of the greatest scenes in film history. You guys? Incredible, incredible. You guys, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh, it's one of the greatest scenes I've ever seen in my life. Incredible. Yeah, you guys, amazing. Thank you so much. We will chat again in a couple of days. I'll put on my street on the community page when I'm coming on next. May not even do greatest directors. I might throw a curveball out there. Who knows? Who knows? But thank you, and we'll speak again. And that was my reaction. It was like being shot 5 times. I think it was 5 times she gets shot. Oh, he just wouldn't die, would he? He wouldn't die. He must have, the day they shot that scene, he must have thought, I'm going to show these guys how good I am at acting. I'm going to show them how great I am. He got on set and he gave that performance that you guys saw just then. And I think you can conclusively, along with me, say that that performance is nearly as good as Anthony Hopkins in Silence of the Lambs. It is fantastic. It's a piece de resistance. Issa, don't worry about what film it's from. You don't need to know what film it's from. It doesn't matter. We've gone beyond that. This film just sits there by itself. This moment just sits there by itself. You never need to know what film it's from. The main character. He did. He earned every single buck on that. Amazing. Amazing. The thing is, guys, I can't even hear the clip. When I first got it up a few hours ago, I was like, I can hear the clip because I could hear it. But when I put it on the stream, I couldn't hear it anymore. So I was so glad you guys can hear it because the noise just makes it so wonderful. Honestly, love it. Anthony Hopkins was really excited. Oh, Anna, you're trouble. He didn't. He got nominated for a BAFTA, and then I think he got nominated for a César in France. He's retired now because he didn't win anything, so he just retired. Yeah. Anyway, I'm still here. Why am I still here? Guys, it's time for me to go. And I keep saying that, but I am really going to go now. You guys are amazing. I keep saying that, but you are. Thank you. We'll speak again in a few days. I'm going to put a little... Do you know what? I'm going to stay online for another 2 minutes because then it'll be an hour and a half. But yeah, I'm going to put a comment. I'm going to put a poll in my on the community page tonight. And it's not going to be about what video or what topic we should talk about next. It's going to be a fun poll, one of the fun ones, one of the popular ones. So I hope you guys can go out there and vote for that. And I'm going to kill some time so I can get to an hour and a half on our second stream. That's what I'm going to do. Got 30 seconds. Anyone want to say anything? Any last parting words? This, guys, is my sister. Hey, sis. Big love. Yeah, so I've got another 30 seconds before I log out and I've done my hour and a half. It's like doing a community service. Hello, Ultimate Artist. Have a nice tea and sleep. Absolutely, Anna. That's what we British people do. We have a tea and then go to sleep. That's all we do. That's all we do, literally. William, thank you for this as well. You've been fantastic. Thank you, William. Some amazing comments. And that's it. My community service is done. I've done my time with you guys. My hour and a half is up. And now I'm going to go into the public and just have some tea and go to sleep. Thank you, guys. You're amazing. And big love.